The frag tank is in need of a lot of attention, so over the next couple weeks, we're gonna address some issues. Let's get into a frag tank overhaul. What's up, coral people? If you're new here, my name is Remy, and this is the Bahama Llama Coral YouTube channel. First of all, I just wanna say thank you. The channel just rolled over 5,000 subscribers. I just love seeing how big the reefing community is. I think when you're in it, but none of your friends and family are, it's hard to gauge just how big the reefing community really is. So thank you. This was one of my goals from the beginning of the year. My goal for 2020 is to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. 7 months ahead of schedule. I'm so grateful. Thank you. Okay. Task at hand, the frag tank. If you have a frag tank or you're thinking about setting up a frag tank, I feel like this series is gonna give you good insight on what things could go right, what things could go wrong, and then what it looks like to correct some of those things over time. As you can see, the frag tank is an absolute mess. Other than this like zoa explosion right here we've got going on, mind you, most of those are the most annoying zoa in the world, called the Pandora zoa. We've got some algae here. We'll clean that up. Maybe end up running some fluconazole later, but this rack right here is gonna be the main focus of today's video. I know that I don't have space for all of these frags. When it comes down to it, I'm gonna have to bust down the main rack in the frag tank. And once I do that and put those all onto new plugs, there's no way that that's gonna fit. So I'm gonna have to give some of this coral away. I just need to be held accountable for my actions. I have done this to myself. If I don't manage it now, it will become an endless cycle that goes on and on and on and on and on and on. And I need to manage this tank like it deserves to be managed. So let's get right into it.
Yesterday.
All right, so just a really brief overview of what's gonna happen today. I'm going to just totally replace this rack because I'm gonna have to cut it up. All these zoas down here are gonna have to be removed from the rack. I want clean racks, and so we're going to replace it with this guy. So if you watch my video about PAR, the PAR readings on all of these lights came in super low. So what I've been doing is I've been ramping this light up. So the center light. So what I want to do is I want to take all the SPS frags like Miyagi Tort, I think this is a pink Cadillac, all of these frags that are light deprived, I want to move to one area here in the center. So what I've done, I made this like weird catwalk thing. So when it goes into the tank, it's gonna sit up at about the level of those sticks that I have, and hopefully it will make it look a little better in there. I don't know if I'm going to replace these sticks that are already in here, like the white PVC pipes, but we'll get there. Once we figure out what we're doing with this rack, we'll address that. But this is actually the rack that I use for the frag swap, and I've literally just used super glue to attach this. Now, I've never really seen this done on any videos or anything, so I'm sure there's a reason why people don't do this, but we'll find out. So I have some salt water that I have been mixing here for a day now. That's ready to go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a quick like 5-gallon water change. If you don't already have one of these containers that will fit your frag racks, it's a good idea to get one, because when you clean them, you can just remove the entire rack. This bin right here holds about 5 gallons of water. So what I usually do is I'll do like a quick 5-gallon water change, drain the water in here, throw a little heater in here, and then I'll just get to work on cleaning up the frag rack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lot of these loose frags that are already out and put those on this rack immediately, so I don't have to do anything with those. I'm most concerned about all these zoas that have moved onto the racks, so we're gonna address those. We'll see what happens once we get this frag rack into this container and this into the actual frag tank. So let's go ahead and start the water change. But here I am draining the water into a 5-gallon bucket. I'm removing some detritus in the display tank as well, because, well, why not? Once I've got the 5 gallons, I dump the water into the container, and then I pull the old rack out and place it in the holding container. All right, so I've got the rack out, and I just kind of want to show you what's underneath. Aside from all the coralline algae, There's this really cool shroom down here. God, it's so hard to see, but I don't know what it is. I don't remember. Maybe it's a nuclear sunset or something. I don't know. But this is what it looks like without the rack in it. So I'm gonna scoop up some more of this detritus that's down here, and then we'll go ahead and put the new rack in and fill it back up with water. I've got this rack right here that I made. It is the biggest pain in the butt, so I'm probably going to get some of these off of this rack and try to eliminate this as best I can. It's all overgrown anyway. I mean, this Spongotes is going crazy, and it's time for this to go. With the rack out, now I can see some piles of detritus, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove those and take a couple more gallons and discard. My goal is to get the main system running as soon as possible, so I refill that first. And it's funny because I've got this Sicce pump that I've had forever, and I swear these things never die. Such great quality. I use this pump to pump the water back into the system. All right, so this next part may seem a little bit tedious, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the loose frags down here. So I don't know, like this Zoa frag is clear of the rack. It's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on the new rack, and I'm gonna put the new rack in the tank right now so it's good to go, and I'll just start loading that up so it has enough weight to stay down in the tank, and then I'll go ahead and make the frag tank operational again, and we'll get started on all of this encrusted zoanthid mess. And as I'm moving these frags back into the tank, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a little scrub all over the plug so I can get any detritus or any kind of algae or anything that's been kind of forming on those plugs off, clean them up, get them ready to go back in the frag tank. All right, I'm making room for the new frag rack. I can already tell that the catwalk bridge thing is a little high, but I can fix that later if need be. After a little adjusting, it's time to start loading it up.
2,000 years later.
All right, well, this is taking much longer than expected. I'm just now moving all of the loose frags from the rack to this new rack. But in the process, I've been literally like cleaning each one of these plugs. It's taken a little bit longer to like take a toothbrush, and then if I see some of those frags moving onto the plug or moving onto the rack, I put them on a larger base so that they don't go onto the rack immediately. I have a little bit of time, but looks like everything's pretty happy so far. I mean, everything for the most part is coming back out, so I haven't made them too upset. I am to the point now where I've got most of the frags off. So all of these that you see on the rack right now are all grown onto the rack. So a lot of some of them are more severe than others. Like this one's pretty easy, but this whole pile right here, see this? I think I'm just gonna give it away. So I'm gonna go onto one of our reefing Facebook groups and just take a quick video of this. I mean, while most of them are Pandoras, you know, there's some Oompa Loompas in there, some petroglyphs, there's a zombie or two. It would be worthwhile for someone to come pick it up for free. So, and that saves me a lot of trouble. I'm gonna shoot that video really quick, and I'm gonna put that up on the Facebook page and see if anybody bites. And I mean, this is all part of it, right? Hey guys, just wanted to take some video of this. I'm going through a frag rack here, and I feel like I just wanna get rid of all of these here. I just don't wanna deal with having to cut them off the rack. There's a lot of Pandoras in here, I'll say that. But there's like Oompa Loompas, some petroglyphs, some daisy cutters in here. So if you want this section right here, please let me know. Getting rid of that chunk didn't take long at all. I posted it up to one of our St. Louis frag pages, one that we can buy and sell on. Within probably 5 minutes, it was gone. So pretty good deal. But I told the guy that is picking it up tomorrow morning, if I ever crash my tank, I'm coming back for some of these frags. So hopefully he takes good care of them. This helps me immensely because I can just cut out this portion of the rack and then give it away. And that's a good thing because look at where we are on this rack. Almost full. I've got some room on this rack, but if I had to put all these in there, it wouldn't fit. So I want to make sure that I have extra room for some expansion. I also want to move some of the frags from over on this side over here and maybe make this just a sticks rack. So just to give you kind of an insight on the process that I've been doing here, I cut the egg crate around the frag that I'm trying to remove. And then I clean up the plug and the egg crate that I've cut with a toothbrush. To get in between the polyps, I use cheap makeup brushes that I got off of Amazon. And you know, they're not the best quality in the world, but they work great. And you can get a pack of 50 for like 10 bucks. And I'm also taking into consideration the zoas that are about ready to grow over the edge or already have grown over the edge of the original frag plug. So what I've been doing is cutting off the stem and re-gluing it to a larger plug. That buys me a little bit of extra time because I'm obviously not good at making sure the zoas don't grow on the rack. So I just repeated these steps over and over and over until the coral was all removed and placed on that new rack. Obviously, not every case is the same, but it's also beneficial to have a razor on hand if you need to slice the plug away from the rack. All right, well, this is what's left of the rack. There's actually a lot more of it than I thought would be left, but we have gotten all of the coral off the rack, and now it looks nice and neat on the right side of the frag tank. Isn't it funny? I literally spent 4.5, 5 hours total just doing this, and I still have this mess over here. Ugh, there's so much. This back here is going to a new home. These are like Nirvanas and Pandoras. Those are all going to a new home as well. So we're shipping out all the fast growing corals. I'm warning people too. I'm letting them know these will take over your tank, but people still want them. So we'll get a better after shot in a little bit, but oh my gosh, that was a lot of work.
Early the next morning.
So it's the next morning. I know you're like, oh, Remy has hair. There it is. It's the next morning, and I've got a couple guys coming over early to pick up a couple sections of this frag rack. And I also went ahead and remounted the toadstool. So I've got I don't know if it's a Tyree or ORA, just a green toadstool I've had since I started in the hobby. And I had to remount it to a PVC pipe because it had attached itself to the frag rack that I'm giving away. So I cut that part off, and this is what I came up with. So I just went ahead and put this on a PVC pipe, and then I made little feet. See the little feet? I'm hoping that works, but we'll see. But I'm excited to have all of that room back there. Gotta do something with those zoas on the wall. Dang Nirvanas.
End of flashback.
It's a good start, and the overhaul is probably gonna take me a lot longer than I originally anticipated. I was like, I could probably knock this out in 3 weeks. And I probably could, but given that one rack took me about 5 hours to accomplish, I might have to spread this overhaul over the next several weeks because I also wanna give you new content as well. So I obviously need to manage the cords, and I would love to replace the return pump. One of the coolest things about having a controllable pump on the Lagoon tank is just being able to hit pause and go into feed mode. And with this, it's a Mag 7, I think. It's a pond pump. I have to unplug it and then plug it back in. And it's just a big pain to have to do that. It's nice to have a controller so that you can adjust the levels and the intensity and all that kind of stuff. So I really would like to get a new return pump for the frag tank. Currently, I'm fighting I bought cheap equipment in the beginning because I was too impatient to wait syndrome. I am so ready for some efficiency and some controllability. Leave a comment below. Do you have a frag tank? Do you keep up to date with the maintenance of that? And if not, are you researching so that you can get a frag tank? And please also include where you're watching from. I'd love to know city, state, country, whatever it is. Let me know where you're proud to call home. I think part of the inspiration for this was watching Salty Allie's video that she did with Ocean State Aquatics. Last year, I think it was, I saw this video where, you know, she's taking out an old rack, putting all the frags on a new rack, and then putting that into the system. It just makes me feel better knowing that big stores also deal with all of those nuisance things that we deal with in the hobby. I posted the link below if you want to see that. Also, check out everything that OSA has going on with the new Superstore, Scott Crow. If you've made it this far, I do want to do a 5,000 subscriber giveaway, so be on the lookout for that. If you liked the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you're notified whenever I post new videos. I've been saying pamplemousse for weeks. And if you are in France, please rate my French ability on this one. Pamplemousse. Pamplemousse. Je voudrais un pamplemousse. Was that right? Ugh.